We need to have an indefectible system for telling us what the faith is, what the true faith is. And God, in his infinite wisdom, gave that to us by giving us a church that can never teach something so wrong that it leads the whole church into serious error. And this is a big deal. Hey everyone, welcome to Catholicism Wow. So I thought I'd take this time to let everybody out there know that I love baseball. Ever since I was a child, baseball has been my favorite sport, and to this day it's the only sport that I really follow. I will watch anyone play baseball. If it's on television, I will watch high school girls softball. I watch baseball movies. I love everything about the game of baseball. Now, next week, we're going to have a new pope. And I thought I would take this time to clear up some confusion about the office of the pope and the magisterium in general. Confusion that Protestants have and that unfortunately a lot of Catholics have as well. And I thought an appropriate analogy to do this would be by using baseball. Now, Bishop Barron, many years ago when he was still Father Barron, made the analogy that the Pope is like the umpire in a baseball game. He's not there to dictate the action. He's not there to ensure the outcome of the game. He's merely there to make sure that everybody is playing by the rules that we all agreed to. This was a great analogy. In fact, I even clipped it in one of my earlier videos. But it goes a little deeper than that. So before I get into talking about how the Pope and the Magisterium are like baseball, I'm going to set the stage. So every baseball game at a high level, from college through the minor leagues into the major leagues, doesn't just have one umpire. Because one umpire can't be everywhere, he can't see every play, and he can't make every call effectively. Likewise, the Catholic Church doesn't just have one bishop. We don't just have the Pope there to dictate everything to us like a monarch. We have many bishops. We have bishops all over the world. We have bishops in every position necessary to see every play and make every call and make sure they get those calls right. In fact, sometimes it might take multiple umpires to make a correct call on a single play. Sometimes one umpire might not be in the right position, or the angle that he's seeing at is different than the angle that another umpire might be seeing at. And so in order to get the call right, they have to get together and have a conference. Sometimes there's a dispute. Sometimes an umpire will call a player safe, and the manager of the opposing team will come out and argue that he was out. And they have to call New York and look at a replay and get their opinion, get their ruling. Likewise, there are many times throughout church history where many bishops have had to come together, all the bishops have had to come together and have what we call an ecumenical council. And this is to ensure they get the call right. So now that the stage is set, let's go ahead and talk about the two ways that we know that the church is always going to get the call right, or at least as right as possible. The Catholic Church, both the Pope in his individual office and the Council of the College of all Bishops, when in communion with each other, exercise what's called the charism of indefectibility. This is different than infallibility, and we'll get to that. Protestants like Gavin Ortlund have also used the sports referee metaphor to explain how you can have authority that's not infallible. And 99.9% of the time, the Catholic Church isn't acting in an infallible manner. But 100% of the time, it's indefectible. What this means is that while an umpire in a baseball game might get a call wrong, likewise, the church might get a particular call wrong, but it can never get the call so wrong that it will change the outcome of the game. In 2010, a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers named Armando Galarraga was pitching a perfect game against the Cleveland Indians. Yes, they're the Cleveland Indians. In the last out of this perfect game, he threw a pitch that was hit directly to the first baseman. The first baseman, Miguel Cabrera, stepped a little bit off the base to field the ball. Armando Galarraga covered first base, which is something Garrett Cole hasn't learned to do apparently. And Miguel Cabrera made the throw, and Armando Galarraga got the final out of his perfect game. But the umpire at first base, Jim Joyce, called the runner safe.
26 up, 26 down. Here comes number 27. It's Jason Donald, and a crowd of better than 17,000 to its feet.
The guy we've been waiting for all night.
Strike one. For 2 for Donald tonight, the 0-1. One ball and one strike on Jason Donald. Ground ball, right side, Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe. He is safe. He is safe at first base. And here comes Jim Leyland. Oh, my goodness. Jim Joyce said he was safe at first base. You make the call. Cabrera, Galarraga.
He missed the base. He's out. Why is he safe?
He must have missed the base.
Are you kidding me? Why is he safe?
You see right here.
Why is he safe? Oh my goodness, Jim Joyce. No.
Jeez Louise.
Oh my goodness.
What a travesty. What an absolute travesty for Armando Galarraga.
The runner knew he was out. The Tigers knew he was out. The Indians knew he was out. Presumably, the other umpires on the field probably knew he was out. But Jim Joyce chose not to conference with them. He chose not to get the call right. And because of that, the outcome of the game was changed in a severe manner. With the charism of indefectibility, we can have assurance that the church will never get a call so wrong that it changes the outcome of the game. And this is necessary because otherwise we'd never know. We would never know if what the church was teaching was orthodox or not. We need to have an indefectible system for telling us what the faith is, what the true faith is. And God, in his infinite wisdom, gave that to us by giving us a church that can never teach something so wrong that it leads the whole church into serious error. And this is a big deal. In John 14, and again in John 16, during the Last Supper, while Jesus was having a private, intimate meeting and dinner with his apostles. The 12 men who, after his death, resurrection, and ascension, would become the leaders of this church to carry on his work after he has gone home to the Father. In John chapters 14 and 16, Jesus left them with a promise that he would send to them another counselor that would guide them into all truth. This promise is carried out through the charism of infallibility, which the church exercises in two ways. One, by an ex cathedra pronouncement by the Holy Father, and also through an ecumenical council. This is where we get dogmas. This is where we also get other infallible teachings that don't fit the dogmatic formula, such as secondary objects of infallibility. The last time this charism was used was in 1994, when Pope St. John Paul II infallibly declared that women are ineligible for the priesthood. Infallible declarations are guaranteed to always be true because they are given to us by the Holy Spirit, speaking through the church. Through this charism, we can be sure, we can have certainty that our umpires did not get the call wrong. Much like the robot umpires introduced during spring training this year and will probably be a permanent part of Major League Baseball in the regular season next year. The ABS challenge system, much like the Holy Spirit, is there to ensure that the call is always right. One more thing. This man behind me is Pat Hoberg. Pat Hoberg is the only Major League Baseball umpire in history, in the history of Major League Baseball, to ever call a perfect game. What that means is, if he called a ball, it was a ball. If he called a strike, it was a strike. Every single call in this game that he made was correct. Now, I'm not saying Pat Hoberg, at least in this one game, had the charism of infallibility. But I am going to say this. Pat Hoberg also received a lifetime ban from Major League Baseball for betting on baseball and for at least being complicit in betting on baseball games in which he himself had a duty to perform, which is a violation of Major League Baseball's cardinal rule, Rule 21. That's important because when we're talking about the Pope, even if he's a garbage human being, even if privately he holds positions or opinions that contradict church teaching, the Holy Spirit will never allow him to teach those things to the whole church or to define something infallibly that goes against what the Catholic Church teaches. Just like how Pat Hoberg was a garbage human being that violated Major League Baseball's most important rule to ensure the integrity of the game, he was still able to call the only perfect game ever in Major League Baseball history. And while all the evidence points to him at least being complicit in gambling on games in which he had a duty to perform, there's no evidence that he ever made a call wrong in order to win a bet. And it's like that with the Pope. So next week, when our Cardinals get locked down into the Sistine Chapel to vote for a new pope. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who they pick. Sure, we would like somebody that exemplifies the characteristics of the Catholic Church. Somebody who has a deep understanding of the Catholic faith and who follows it to the best of his ability. Sure, we would like to have somebody that can speak with pastoral compassion, the way Pope Francis did so well, but who also can speak with authority and who isn't afraid to stand up to those who are sowing division inside of our church. Sure, we would like all those things. We would like to have a good pope. However, even if we end up with a bad pope, the Holy Spirit will not allow that bad pope to steer his church wrong. The Holy Spirit will not allow him to make any calls that affect the outcome of the game. And that's important. So if next week our Cardinals elect Angel Hernandez, all will not be lost. And if our next pope doesn't live up to our expectations, the right thing is not to schism from Christ's church. The manager in a baseball game might disagree with an umpire. He may have words with an umpire. He may even be ejected from the game. But he doesn't go and start his own game. He doesn't separate from the game and take his team and go play somewhere else. He endures the punishment. He's obedient to the umpire's decision. And he comes back in the next game. And that's something that I think a lot of Catholics during Pope Francis's reign forgot. Hopefully, when we get our new pope, whoever that man may be, they'll remember that next time. So this is a lot shorter than most of my videos tend to be, but fret not, because next week I have two amazing rebuttals lined up, and I think you're going to enjoy them. One is a response to a Keith Foskey video. I don't know if you're familiar with Keith Foskey. If you're not, you will be next week. So hopefully I'll see everybody back here for that. But in the meantime, make sure that you take this weekend and pray for our conclave. Pray for our cardinals. And pray for whoever is going to be our new pope. So everybody, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Share it in your social media groups. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Make sweet, sweet love to the notification bell. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Go in peace, and have a nice day.